Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload we'll be talking about this winter storm that is continuing and is already in progress across much of Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana. Many states are under this winter storm. And then we'll briefly talk about that second wave that is coming on New Year's Day. A lot of ice, rain, and snow potential with that one as well. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about. The system has been slightly overperforming, but generally uh, doing as forecasted. But let's start talking about this. I almost did forget. If you guys like this channel, if you like these videos, consider subscribing, consider liking the video. It really helps out a lot. And if you are a weather hobbyist enthusiast, why not, right? So it's up to you, but consider doing so. Thank you. All right, so let's begin talking about this winter storm. So right now we have warnings and yeah, we do have some watches across Oklahoma and Texas for the new winter storm, and that's into tomorrow. But we have winter storm warnings and advisories issued for a lot of the Midwest and into South Dakota, Nebraska, northern, northeastern Kansas. And these warnings have expanded a bit, even into South Dakota. They weren't there yesterday. Into Nebraska, into Missouri, they weren't there either. There has been an expansion southwards. If you recall, I was saying yesterday that northeastern and northern Illinois will be seeing more winter storm warnings issued, and you could see that for yourself in the previous video. But if you remember that, that has happened. Northern Cook County is under winter storm warning. So is the Lake, McHenry, and I don't really know the rest by name, but DeKalb County, I'm pretty sure is where DeKalb is. All these counties are now under winter storm warning. So definitely a bit of a extension, but again, doesn't take the metropolitan area of Chicago. The thing is that this is a lot of snow has already fallen across Nebraska. If we were to take a look at the snowfall reports, which is reports from people that have taken reports and submitted them to this website, and notice that a lot of Nebraska got over 4 inches. Plenty of locations got over 6 inches, and a lot of those are in the 7.5, 8. I think we do have an 8 report coming from Iowa. Des Moines is right now at a 5.5 as of 2, probably expecting to reach that 6 to 8 inch mark, if not more. And then they're starting to come in very quickly. I mean, that 2 inches right there is from 2 hours of snowfall, so around an inch per hour. So this is going to be falling quickly. It's going to be one of those exciting events in the sense that if you take a nap and it's 4 hours, you may wake up with 4 to 5 hours of snow on the ground. And when you were falling asleep, it wasn't even snowing. So definitely an interesting perspective, to put it that way. But let's take a look at the radar. Let me remove these winter warnings and advisories as they kind of clog up this area. So take a look at this. Over the past, I think this is 6 hours, we saw snow into Missouri, much of Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, into North Dakota, South Dakota. Let me just zoom out one more time. And we did see a bit of like effect across Syracuse and into upstate New York. Yesterday in the evening, it was definitely more impressive. So notice the precipitation is really streaming into this cooler air mass that's obviously producing the snowfall. Notice this thing really organized itself very well. A band of snow right here, stretching all the way into Indiana. And again, if you live in Michigan and Ohio, especially obviously northwestern Ohio, you may get a bit of snow out of this. Not 4 or 5 inches, but maybe 1 to 2 inches of quick, heavy snow. And notice that we are actually seeing more additional snow starting to develop to the south right here. Still, that rain snow line is having struggles transitioning the snow over. So that may be overdone, and based on observational reports, what I've been seeing is that a lot of these locations are seeing the border with Iowa are seeing sleet, right, and freezing rain, but there's still plenty of locations seeing snow that the model said would be seeing rain, freezing rain at this point. Again, that's usually marginal of 1 to 2 temperature degree difference, and that's, what we've been calling for, that this may overperform or underperform quite easily with a little bit of change. Des Moines, Iowa, safely in all snow at this point, it seems. There is a bit of freezing rain and sleet going on here, but again, this band it's really healthy. And the rainy side of this thing is pretty miserable as of now, but it will get more expansive. So taking a look at the HER model and see its latest model run, let's refresh this. I think it's starting to load in. Well, that one is only 1 hour in. But these high-res models honestly have struggled a bit more than I would like. It's I guess, a test of what they're, how good they are in terms of temperature. So notice, this is what the HER model is showing in terms of freezing rain, sleet, and based on the radar, we are not seeing that. You can see that's pushing into, oh, I don't know these counties, but they're pretty linear in Iowa. Let me look at that. It's like a perfect chart. So it's pushing into that third county of Iowa, right? And at this point, that doesn't seem to be the case even with the first two rows. Again, that radar sometimes is a bit messy with its precipitation accuracy, but if we were to take a look at the National Weather Service and their observational trends, say, oh, right here, the HER model points at precipitation falling as of ice. It's still, for the most part, snowing here across these locations. Again, I do expect the rain to snow transition, but even, the thing is that if it's delayed even by a few minutes, then it may, or by a few hours, 1 to 3 hours, that could produce an extra 1 to 3 inches. That's how fast the snow will be falling. So here's the time. Let me take a look at this closely so you guys actually could see this very, very precisely. 3 p.m. Hopefully that's visible. 3 p.m. December 29th. So that's today. Let's push this through. Notice this is what it shows at 4 p.m. right? And again, really, the ice is quite a bit overdone with this scenario, but that may be catching up throughout the night. And notice that by 5, 6, 7, it is pretty far up to the north, right? We start seeing Des Moines getting close to the rain snow line, but again, spreading into Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, western Iowa, kind of advocating from that snowfall really quite a bit, right? But they had their fair share, and now it's starting to move away. But don't be surprised if you do see some wraparound showers. You could see kind of filling in. So light snow through tonight is likely. But notice into Indiana, right? The snow band extends into possibly Cleveland. Detroit even seeing a burst of 1 to maybe 2 inches, maybe even 3 across further northern locations. Notice that, again, this seems a bit overdone. This is what it would look like within an hour or two from now when I'm recording this video. And this is what it looks like now. So really, it doesn't seem like that will be the case. However, again, when the temperatures are marginal, you can see right there's 31 snowing in Chicago. That's a bit inaccurate. It's not snowing yet in Chicago. It will within the next probably 10-15 minutes. But again, it's a bit overdone, and I don't really know whether or not this will continue into the overnight. The trend of this precipitation being more mainly snow. We'll have to see. It's honestly oftentimes hard to pin these things down. But notice 7 o'clock, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Notice that by 10 p.m., much of northern Illinois and eastern Iowa, really the southern half of eastern Iowa, are in either sleet or freezing rain. And freezing rain, for those that may be confused, is literally, it looks like rain, like a thunderstorm, right? Like just a regular rain event, but it freezes on contact. Not instantly, but instantly enough where it doesn't really start flowing and start causing flooding, but it just kind of it freezes within within 30 seconds of falling, which is pretty instant. But and obviously that depends. If it's a colder freezing rain, it does it quicker, and once it gets warmer, it starts transitioning over to just regular rain. And notice sleet. This model shows 2 to 3 hours of sleet for Chicago. We'll have to see about that. Notice much of central northern Illinois freezing rain. Iowa seeing some bands of freezing rain, but mainly the precipitation pulling away. Most of Michigan seeing some amount of snow. Further north and west, heavier amounts. Wisconsin, the UP, all the way into southern Canada. Minnesota seeing snow out of this. Minneapolis seeing snow out of this. And notice that, again, this is 10, 11, 12. So this is now Thursday, Wednesday, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You can see that by that time, northern Illinois will be transitioning over to rain. Again, I do think that there will be a transition across Illinois. It's just how long will that take? And if it doesn't, then that's a gross overestimate by the models. But again, I don't think that they will be that overdoing it, especially since the thermal profiles are supportive of a sleet or freezing rain event after this warm air starts streaming in. So the changeover is inevitable, but how much, right? And for southern Wisconsin, say, these models showed a changeover. That may not happen, but right here across these locations, northern Indiana, eastern Iowa, I think that's almost likely. And notice that I do want to show that this rain band really starts developing pretty nicely. Right now, it's very measly, and it starts developing, right, and that produces some rain, snow on the backside, and it pushes into Canada. In terms of total snowfall, again, these may be overdone or underdone for certain locations. I feel like there may be a bit more snow across the southern or just south of this band and into portions of Iowa. Most of the snow has fallen here at this point, but again, this seems pretty accurate, and these are a bit underdone, as this will be falling at a higher ratio than 10:1. So probably you could multiply this by 1.5 to 3 by a 15:1 ratio. So I would say maybe 4.5 inches for those locations, maybe 5. So, you know, a decent event, not a huge snowstorm for those locations. And if we were to take a look at the whole United States now, right, just stop focusing on the Midwest. Take a look at the 18Z, which goes out even further. Notice this is what it showed, right? Similar to what it's showing now, just 2 hours later. A lot of the snow across western Iowa is now finished up. Yeah, a lot of the snow is finished up, but you may still see some additional slight accumulations with that light snow that could be forming. And this is what the HER model shows through 25 hours. I do want to say that if you live in Oklahoma, northern Mexico, yeah, not New Mexico, but northern Mexico. I know I do have viewers from Mexico. There will be some snow, especially towards elevated areas, but even in the deserts, there could be some snow. Notice a very, very vast area of snow and potentially pretty heavy snow across southern Texas. From 4 to 8 inches of snow. I think the official winter storm warning calls from 2 to 10 inches. A bit of snow across Oklahoma and Texas is likely as well. They do have winter storm watches issued for that. Notice, it does show a bit of snow into Ohio and Indiana and West Virginia. That's to do with that lingering cold front. I do want to say Canada, not really seeing much out of this, though. Again, just a brief shift to the south may affect larger cities, but still a good event of anywhere from 2 to 7 inches, which I know is a large range, but this thing is fairly unpredictable at this time. You know, we're a few hours out, and God, the temperatures are just really hard to predict. I mean, you saw how the radar is doing something of its own compared to what the models are showing. So again, a ongoing situation for Canada. You got to go to your environmental agency. I think that's what it was. Someone corrected me yesterday, and they issue your winter storm watches, warnings. I think they're called snowfall warnings there. And for obviously United States and National Weather Service. I don't know what they do in Mexico. I'd have to maybe if you were to reply to that. But notice that the snow pushes into Canada as of tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. So this is a quick hitter, but again, these snowfall rates will be heavy even as it moves into Canada. It's a lot of precipitation. Notice northern Iowa, Ohio. If you live across these locations, you may get a bit of snow with the backside of this cold front, and honestly, maybe a bit more or maybe a bit less. But from what we've been seeing, it may be a bit more. So notice even into West Virginia, maybe northern Kentucky, again, and nothing to get your hopes up on, because this could be a mile too short or a mile too late, and you may get nothing. But notice across Texas, I mean, God, that is a beast. A lot of snow, and that has really starting to come into fruition over only the last couple of model runs. It was showing signs of that yesterday, but really the National Weather Service was caught off guard themselves. They say it was everything about the storm is just fast moving, fast paced, and constantly changing. Southwestern Texas. Let's take a look at this. They have a winter storm watch again, 2 to 10 inches of locally higher amounts. So, yeah, that's quite a bit. So, you know, all these locations: Alpine, Sanderson, Panther Junction, Presidio. I think it's a Spanish or a Mexican name. And if we were to take a look at northwestern Oklahoma, we were to see that they're again also expecting wintry mix, snow, rain as you go to the south and east, and in terms of their snowfall accumulations, 3 to 5 inches are possible. So I do think that could be higher if it, shows more of a cold sign. Same thing goes with Texas. Same Minneapolis in terms of their snowfall today. I was saying that they may be a bit underdone with some of the forecast models, and you can see a 3 to 5, 2 to 4 inch event. Again, if you multiply some of the amounts by 1.5, assuming a 10:1 ratio, you'll get something more accurate. 2 to 5 inches of snow is expected. That has been expected for a few days. A little change for those locations. And in here is obviously the center of that storm. Now, I do apologize. I'm trying to go over as much as possible, so I may be skipping over large chunks of areas, but I'll just click on the most heaviest impacted areas most likely seeming at this point. But again, this is an ongoing situation, so probably will change a few times or by a few counties maybe even. Notice that winter storm warnings are issued, right? Winter weather advisories, high ice amounts will be also concerned with this. People have been saying, oh, why don't you go over the ice as well? It's really, it's tough to tell whether or not this ice will be huge. And to be honest, I obviously should be going over the ice threat anyways, regardless, as it's significant. What I said wasn't really valid claim, but the thing is that I usually am tough on time, so I try going over as much. But I do want to say, yes, ice will be the heaviest, and what I have pulled up right here is probably the heaviest hit area with this. Eastern Iowa, western Illinois, northern Missouri, and maybe even southern Wisconsin. Notice, there could be up to 1/4 of an inch. I don't think there will be that much, especially since, based on what we've been seeing. But again, all it takes is a few extra, temperature degrees that are warmer than average or warmer than forecasted, and it could be a quick transition over to some heavy freezing rain. So definitely a concern, right? And then winter storm warnings. This is the New Year's storm, what they're showing for that second wave, and you can see they're also showing a bit of ice. That one is more uncertain. And let's go back to the weather models and take a look at that. So the RDPS is or the RGEM, RDPS, depending on where you it's the same thing, just different names. So notice that this is what it shows. It has done probably the best job with this system, right, overall. Still showing, obviously, rain getting further to the north. That's pretty much inevitable at this point. There will be rain. There will be freezing rain for a good amount of locations. Notice it does start dwindling as it pushes into Michigan, mainly rain for those locations if it does transition over. Up towards the Midwest, again, too cold to see any transitions. Then it has that cold front developing with that bit of snow potentially on that backside, so that's definitely something to watch for. I wouldn't be surprised if this overperforms based on the cooler than average temperatures we've been seeing with this system so far. So, this will be heavy precipitation. You get an inch or two of snow out of an hour or two of snowfall. That could change drastically the road conditions and travel impacts. Notice we start congregating a ton of precipitation to the south. I mean, it's very impressive. Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and obviously that snowstorm on the south. Some severe weather is likely, though again, it doesn't seem too high, but with their latest runs, they have been kind of increasing that. And as we push this to the north, you could see a lot of ice, a lot of snow, depending on where this is. And just anywhere across this region, be wary. You may be in for a lot of snow or ice, especially the further east you go. The exact track of this is pretty fuzzy, and that should be pretty clear as based on we're not even, we're still confused about this first snowstorm right here. So, or the first wave. So this one probably looks to be more of an ice maker than a snow maker. But again, it's definitely still questionable. We'll have to see. If it is an ice maker, that's honestly much worse news, as that can be a crippling ice storm. Thankfully, it's a quick mover. It doesn't really stall out, though some models are showing a slowing system, which is concerning. So again, keep your eyes peeled. This may be a bigger event for locations like southern Canada, obviously, and into the western, Kansas could be seeing a lot of snow, Oklahoma, Kansas City, into Missouri, more of central Missouri. Again, this system proved to be different, and let alone this one that is still 80 hours out. That is a lot of time. So that's what we have for now with the RGEM in terms of its total snowfall accumulations combined from the two snowy systems. Notice this is what we have, right? 84 hours out. That is a lot from that first wave, right? A lot of snow from that first wave, but definitely there will be snow from the second wave. And this is just snow. If there ice occurs, then I think there could be some ice storm warnings issued, though again, that is fuzzy. Notice into the northern provinces, maybe that's what they go by in Mexico, there will be some snowfall. And into southern Texas, also decent amounts of snow. Again, some most likely over a foot of snow if that holds true. So that could definitely be a eventful event. Regarding further east into Texas, it's interesting. Depends on, the exact development of that second storm, as that's what will be dropping the snow here. So if this pushes further towards the east, that will obviously affect eastward areas, and that will obviously lead to more snow, maybe even into Dallas. We'll have to watch for that. But again, as of now, just your National Weather Service is your best source. The NAM models I would not look at right now as regarding the first wave. This is, by the way, including sleet, so this is showing way more snow than most likely will happen. But I wanted to show you that the NAMs really just just did a miserable job with this first system. Notice it showed snow and sleet way far to the north, transitioning it way too early. And again, I'm disappointed in the NAM models in this with this case. And notice they do also show that bit of that cold front across Ohio, Pennsylvania, and transitioning over to snow. Canada, upper New England with that snowfall, and then obviously starting to develop that snow across the southern United States into northern Mexico by late tomorrow. Really, even in the early afternoon, we'll start seeing some signs across central northern Mexico. This then pushing into Texas. A lot of this has ice. Whether or not that holds true, we'll have to see. It's a common trend with the models. There will be snow. How much of it is unknown. And then notice that that's what the NAM shows. So I'm very skeptical of the NAM at this point, or at least for this storm, as it's done a miserable job with the first wave of the system. But again, that may not necessarily hold true, and that doesn't really disregard it for the second wave. Again, this a lot is overdone, as this is falling as sleet. I don't know if they do have a total positive snow depth change. If they do, then yes, that would be more accurate. And you can see it shows it way farther to the north. And again, it looks as if the National Weather Service themselves threw this model out to the streets, pretty much, as they expanded the winter storm warnings further to the south as this model continued to trend north overnight. And based on the radar, the NAM was not correct with that trend. It is it's snowing in southern central Illinois. So this thing is a very, very impressive cold air mass that is hanging on tight, to say the least. All right. One last thing, people like to see when I show webcams on here. So this is a webcam I found of Joliet, Illinois. Maybe I have viewers from here. This is what it looks like. I don't know exactly where this is. Some sort of operating business I could see with shipping containers. But it is snowing pretty heavily. It is getting dark, so it's kind of hard to see. But I saw this go from, bare ground all the way to white. Probably have anywhere between 1 or 2 inches within 1 or 2 hours of snowing. Again, for the snowfall reports, you could just type in National Weather Service snowfall reports, and it will be one of the first few things that showed up. There we go. Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, now in the 7 to 8 inch amount. I fully expect those to go over 8 inches. And then right there, Morris, Illinois, 2 inches snowfall over the past hour. 2 inches in 1 hour. That is impressive. So definitely something to be concerned about, these heavy snowfall rates. But I think I'll have to start wrapping things up, as I will show you a few more models. So let me just look at the GFS model with this system, right? So this is the newer GFS model run. Notice it shows quite a bit into northern Illinois, Iowa. This may, again, overperform across Illinois and into maybe even Indiana or central Illinois. So based on the radar trends, notice this is what it shows with that cold front, the GFS, a bit of snow, maybe even a bit more than expected across southern Illinois, Indiana. So it's something to watch for. It does show that second wave, quite impressive with those snow amounts, additional snow amounts, especially across Kansas. I could imagine there would be a lot of sleet with this if I were to turn on the surface precip radar, but I want to go over a few more models before I run out of time, so I will not be doing that. So notice this is the Canadian with its second wave, a bit more measly, more ice heavy, but it does show a bit of snow across the Ohio Valley and into Indiana, southern Michigan. So that could be something to watch for. Again, it shows quite a bit across Texas and Mexico. For those that live it across the Northwest, I do apologize. I haven't been talking much about you in today's video, but unfortunately, the main thread is here. I do realize there are heavy snow amounts, except these are mostly limited to the northern elevations, where most people live in large cities which are located in the valleys. So it makes sense. More people are affected by heavier snow here. But obviously, I do talk about the Northwest. It's just in today's video, it's not the center. Let's take a glance at the European model. One last model before I wrap these things up. I've been saying that for a while, but I want to go over as much as possible. Total accumulated snowfall from the European. This is the first wave. Notice, again, pretty generous amounts to the north. I do think some of these will be reaching into the 6-inch range, potentially. That's again, across Illinois area, Wisconsin, Iowa. Second wave starting to show some very strong signs across southern Texas, the Euro model, and notice that we see a stripe, maybe even to southern Canada, so that would be obviously more impactful. In the long range, more snow for the south, for southwest as well, possibly, but in the north, the west, looks very active. Good news for ski resorts, but maybe even some snow across the northeast. But as of now, that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to your local National Weather Service, especially across this area where the warnings are, and once, obviously, tomorrow comes across Texas, even the advisories. This snow will be falling heavily It won't be long duration, but still upwards to a foot of snow in some isolated locations is possible within 9 hours. So again, falling, very heavily. So that's what we have right now. And I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.